Hi, I'm Tim and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at this, and what can I say? Well, it's from Reolink and they just keep coming up with new innovations and new technologies in their products, and this is the Reolink Solar Floodlight Cam, and it has floodlights, camera, solar panel all built into this one unit. So let's take a closer look at this, go through a few of the details, and then what we'll do is get it adopted into the app, and then I'll show you the functions in the app of what this can do. So let's get to it. So here we are with the Reolink Solar Floodlight Cam. Now it's an all-in-one unit. Now this is being released for Reolink's 17th anniversary pre-launch campaign. So once this video is released, you should be able to purchase it around 17th, 18th of May 2026, or if you're lucky, it might have already been released just about now, which is the 13th of May 2026. It's currently priced at around £88 here in the UK, or which equates to around $93 US over in the US. Now, of course, as you can see, it's completely all in one unit, so it doesn't need any cables externally at all. For example, with others where you'd need the separate solar panel and you'd have to run a cable from the solar panel to the camera itself, or additional floodlights, for example. The solar panel on the top, which is covered in this plastic film, which I'll just leave on for the time being just to protect it. And also the same with the camera lens here. It has plastic film again, which I'll leave on for the time being. Now, as far as the solar panel on the top, as I said, it's fixed onto the main unit, so you cannot move the solar panel at all. But of course you can angle the camera and thus the solar panel together. Now the solar panel features endless power with Reolink SolarEase, which is an industry-leading cutting-edge technology which provides a photoelectric conversion efficiency of up to 26%. The solar panel is 3 watts, so it's a 3-watt solar panel, and it requires just 1 hour of sunlight a day to keep the device powered on for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On either side we have the floodlights, and these are AI-based adaptive floodlights. They can be angled, so they can be turned up, down, left and right depending on how you want your floodlights positioned. The floodlights provide up to 1000 lumens of floodlight with customizable color temperature settings between 3000K and 6000K color temperature, and also you can adjust the brightness levels for these as well. The camera lens, which is on the front here, is 150 degree ultra wide view, so that's left to right 150 degrees, and it features a 2K 4 megapixel resolution, and that's 2560 by 1440, and that's at 15 frames per second. Now it also features, with a lot of Reolink cameras, is their innovative colour night vision technology. Now on the bottom of this is the motion sensor here, which is just below the lens, and on the left side here we have a status LED, which with the initial charging, and they provide a USB-C cable for that, so it's a USB-C to A cable for the initial full charge, which they recommend fully charging it before you actually install it, and the light on that will flash blue with it charging, and then once it's finished fully charging it will stay solid blue. Now there's a little hole at the right hand side as well, and that's the microphone in there. Now looking at the base of the unit, there's a passive infrared sensor, and that provides passive infrared sensing up to 10 meters, which equates to 33 feet. It also is Wi-Fi, so you don't need any cables to connect it to the internet or your network, as it features dual band Wi-Fi 6. The whole unit is also IP66 weatherproof rating, and the battery, which is inside the main unit here, features 7800 milliamp hour battery, which lasts up to 3 months on a full charge. Now on the bottom of the unit there's also two rubber flaps, and once they're opened it will reveal both the USB-C charging port in this left side one here, and also in this right side there's the power switch and also the micro SD card slot. It can store up to 512 gigabytes, so that's the maximum size for the SD card. And then here is the loudspeaker, which has a siren built in, and it's rated at 110 decibels up to the maximum audio level. Now this IR sensor dome here is actually intelligent detection, so it will trigger, for example, the floodlights, which can then be customized to distinguish between subject types such as cars, people and animals. Now the device supports the Reolink app, of course, which I'll be showing you at the end of this video. We'll get it installed into the app, and then I'll show you the functions what are available for this device inside the Reolink app. So what I'll do is get it adopted into the app first, which is quite standard to do. All you need to do is scan the QR code there or enter the reference number underneath the QR code to add it into the app. Now, as far as support is concerned, as I said, it supports the Reolink app. It also supports Reolink Home Hub, Reolink Home Hub Mini, and also the Reolink NVRs. And it does work with Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, Apple HomeKit, Home Assistant via the Reolink integration, Windows, macOS, Android and iOS devices as well. Now this is supplied with a 2-year limited warranty, and the weight of this is just 799 grams, and that includes this fixing bracket, which I'll move on to now. And this is just a standard Reolink bracket, which I've seen with other cameras. Really easy to do. There's just 2 screw hole fixings there either side. You then thread the ball joint, make sure the ball joint fits into the rubber housing there. Tighten up the housing onto the bracket, and then you can tighten it up even further with the supplied spanner, which they supply here, which can tighten it up even further. And then that just threads onto the bottom of the unit there where the labels and the QR code is. So it's just threaded and it just screws into place like so, and then you can of course angle the device how you want it to be positioned. Now I can see various use cases for this, for example on a front driveway. So if you've got a car with a garage at the front, you could actually set it to trigger when the car arrives so that it puts the floodlights on, so at night you can see where your car's going and where you're driving into, for example. Or in a garden where you want to, for example, let your pets out into the garden, you could actually trigger it for the pets so that the floodlights come on so that you can see the pets in the garden. Or as just the security for intruders, for example, as well. So it's certainly got all the functionality there. And with it being all in one compact unit, I think this is a really neat, nice looking unit. And with no cables for power requirement or connecting it to the network, then it's an ideal, easy to install unit. Now if you want to purchase one of these, you can. I'll leave links in the video description where you can purchase these from, both in the UK and US. Or if you want, you can just click on the link, change the product link to your relevant country, and then it will give you the specific pricing for your location. So what I'll do now is, off camera, I'll just get this adopted into the app, and then I'll show you what the functionality is in the app. So we'll get right to that now. So here we are on my Android tablet, and I've opened up the Reolink app, and as you can see, the camera has already been added into the app. Now, as I've said, all you need to do is scan the QR code on the label on the camera, and I would also recommend taking a photograph of that QR code and saving it somewhere, so that in case your label gets distorted or damaged, for example, then you can also use the QR code which you've saved. So once you scan the QR code on the device, you then scan the QR code which appears here in the Reolink app, and you scan that code with the camera lens. So it's a both-way QR code scanning process to add the device. So it's added into my Wi-Fi, and as you can see, we've got Reolink logo at the top left, the date and the time at the top right, and also in the bottom right we've got the name of the camera, which is Solar Floodlight Cam. So underneath you get the usual icons where you can pause the recording to take a screenshot. You can enable or disable audio recording, take a snapshot, take a camera recording, set the viewing quality so it's either clear or fluent. So clear is actually high quality. And there's also the maximize button there, which we'll click on now. And as you can see, it's provided the picture with full screen landscape, and it's 2K picture quality, which is quite good, and I think is enough to pick up intruders, animals and people around your property, for example. So if you want to go back to the app with the main screen, you just click in the top left corner the two arrows with the box, and that will take you back into the main app screen. So we can click on the dots, as you will see, and it will minimize it to your desktop so you can use other apps while you're actually monitoring the cameras at the same time. So to get back, we click the two arrows there. Then we've got the brightness options, so the day and night setting. So this will customize the device display, so it's automatic, black and white or color. So we'll cancel that. You can trigger the siren, which I've already done, and I can say it is very loud. You can also trigger the spotlights as well, so we turn the spotlights on. So under the name Solar Floodlight Cam, it will tell you the bit rate at the moment, so it's 1200 kilobits per second. And then in the top right, we've got the gear or the cog icon, which you can click on and then drill down into the settings. So it'll give you the battery status of the device, which is 99%. The Wi-Fi it's connected to. You can also click on display, and then you can change the picture resolution and settings. So you can flip the picture vertically. So if you want to mount your camera upside down, for example, which I don't see why you would, but if you wanted to, you could, and then you could just flip the picture to match. You can select the stream option. So it will give you, for streaming, you can have it clear or fluent, and it will give you the resolution, bitrate and so on, and frames per second. You can also enable it to show motion boxes. So here it will trigger motion. So you'll see we get a blue box around things where it's detecting sort of motion or areas where there has been motion in the past. So we'll disable that. You can change the camera name, date, logo watermark, so you can remove the Reolink watermark by clicking that, and as you'll see, the Reolink logo disappears in the top left. You can click on image settings, where you can change the brightness, set anti-flicker as well, day and night settings, so you can have it color day mode, black and white or color night mode, so they're all set to automatic at the moment. You can also set the privacy mask. So for example, if you next to a neighbouring property and you don't want to use your camera to cover the areas in your neighbouring properties, all you do is draw a box around the area that you want to black out and not have motion detected. So for example, you can draw up to 8 boxes, just resize them and so on, and then select save. And then you can see we just get the camera area covering that. So if we go back one step, you can see we then get the light options. So you can have the status light enabled or disabled. So that's the little blue flashing light that I mentioned earlier in the video. And it's not very large, so I would just leave that enabled. You get the floodlight, so you can adjust the brightness of the floodlights, and also, as I've mentioned, the color temperature as well. Same with the infrared lights, you can actually turn those on and off and adjust the brightness for that, and it will give you the examples here in the pictures. For sounds as well, which I forgot, you can actually adjust the device volume, so that's the alarm volume as well, and there's an option there to record audio, which I just spotted. The PIR motion sensor, you can actually enable or disable that, so you can have the detection sensitivity adjusted and the PIR sensor trigger interval as well. So it's certainly customizable with all the options on the device and the settings on the device. You can actually customize and drill down into if you want to do so. Again, camera recording, so you can turn off camera recording, and post recording duration, so it will record by default 8 seconds before the motion detection has occurred. We also get push notifications, so if you want notifications to your mobile phone when it detects events, then you can enable that as well. We also have email alerts, so you can have email alerts, so it will send you an email when it detects events going on, as well as push notifications. FTP for recording to a external NAS, for example, via the FTP protocol, and you could also adjust the light alarm as well. And again, for the siren, you can actually adjust that or disable it or enable. So what that means is the siren will activate when motion is detected. Then moving on to the smart integration, you can integrate it with Amazon Alexa, and as I've said, it works with Home Assistant, Windows, iOS, Android, Apple Mac, Amazon Alexa, SmartThings, and of course Home Assistant, which I've just mentioned. Now what you can also do is share the device. Share the device with, for example, your neighbour, if it's also covering their property as well, or they want to just keep an eye out on your property while you're away and you're out of range of, for example, mobile detection, so notifications and so on, then you could actually share the device with a neighbour, for example, so that they can keep an eye on your property via your cameras. There's also the time-lapse option, and the time-lapse feature enables you to capture hour-long or even day-long events like sunrise, blooming and work of buildings, etc. into minute-long videos or photo albums. Then if we go to the advanced option, you'll see that there's a legal login lockout, which I've mentioned in previous videos. So if someone tries to log in after so many failed attempts, within 3 minutes, they'll temporarily be locked out. So you can also change the device password. Now the device password is actually set up when you first adopt the device. So after you scan the QR code, you then create a password for the device anyway. You can also change the date and time zone and so on. So we'll go back to the Solar Floodlight Cam and click on the top box here. And then it will give you the device name, model, UID, storage and so on. So it tells you how much storage has been used, network information. You can also update the device. So as you can see, there's the latest version. So there's a small change in the version number there, which I'll update later on. Now Reolink also do a cloud option as well, where it will save the information to the cloud. If you want to go and have that free trial, you can do by clicking this link here, and then it will give you the option to use the cloud as well as local storage. So in this, I've just put in a 64GB micro SD card. But of course, as I've said, you can actually go up to 512GB of storage on these solar floodlight cams. So that is the Reolink Solar Floodlight Cam. Now it's a great unit, compact, easy to install, no wires required. Picture quality is really good as well with the floodlights, the PIR sensor. I think they've done a really good job, really good innovation of creating this new product, and currently priced at around £88 here in the UK or $93 over in the US. I think it's a bargain price, to be honest. So if you want one, pick it up now while there's some discounts going on as well. So thanks for watching this video. Hope you found it useful. Take care, and I'll be back soon with more videos.